Hello, I'm Org, and in this video I've got two replays for you in the Su-8, which is the latest artillery piece I've got for my garage. It's it's a tier 6 in the Soviet tech tree, and I've actually just finished fully upgrading this artillery piece, and so far I'm really liking it. Compared to what I like about it, it's got very hard hitting guns, and it's got alright accuracy, actually surprisingly good rate of fire, and it just works for me. So I've gone to, well, it's not my usual spot, but it's the one that's pretty good on the airfield map, and that's just because it allows me to put shots into the spot where this T-59's sitting, where enemy heavy tanks mostly, they like to kind of sit here because they think they're safe. And I just really like shooting people when they think they're immune from my fire. So I aim at where the T-59 was last spotted, and I hit something, so that's a good start to the game. Of course, no idea how much damage I did because we hadn't spotted the enemy tank. I turn my tank and then go back because an IS is poking around the corner. And again, it pulls back to where it thinks it's safe. And I'm aiming and reloading. Now I take my shot, 121 damage. So that's pretty alright. The downside here, well, problem with this game is that I'm a tier 6 artillery and this is a tier 8 game. And shooting at tier 8 heavy tanks doesn't generally get you very good results. They have quite thick armour, so even high explosive can struggle to do a lot of damage. Anyway, the eyes is pulling forward and I take a shot. I get really lucky there because my shell doesn't actually go where I want it to, but it hits the enemy, does 300 odd damage and tracks it. And now I'm just reloading and see if something will pop up. But I'm also aware that the enemy heavies have actually pushed around the southern edge of the map as well, and they're actually kind of starting to threaten my position. So I don't have shots on anything up here, so I decide to switch down to the south where there's a lurver. Unfortunately, it's going to take me a while before I can aim back in on this tank, but that's alright, we can live with it, as long as it's not doing anything too aggressive. And there we go, 306 damage, it's pretty alright. Tier 8 heavy tanks, as I said, they can be difficult to do a lot of damage to, but that makes a significant dent in its hit points. And for now, I'm just going to keep unloading on this lurver. Oh, it's backed itself into a corner, but I can still hit that one. Another hit. I haven't actually missed a shot yet this game, which is very unusual in artillery. But guessing the luck's with me today. Enemy, friendly tanks are pushing up on this lurver, which is pulling back. I let them know that I'm targeting it just so they don't get too close, at least theoretically. I don't think any of my allies have ever actually figured out that's what I'm trying to get across. Oh, there's my first miss, it falls just short of the lurver. I keep aiming, but this guy's not going to last very much longer anyway. There you go, Pershing's poking over the cliff, but I ignore it and look for other targets. I6 is still behind cover. There's a national one spotted down there, and it's disappeared, but it looked like it was going to keep sitting there. But I kind of decided it's taking too long, and it probably has moved by that point. Here's a KV-2 out in the open, but it's going to take a while to aim on it again. But, well, KV-2 is moving slowly uphill, and it's pretty easy to predict where it's going to go. So take the shot, even though it's not spotted. And I managed to hit it, and you see track it, and did about 300 odd damage. I would have accepted a bit more against the KV-2, but especially since I think that's probably hit the side armour. But probably the tracks absorbed a lot of the damage. So I'm back aiming at the Nashorn here, kind of hoping it'll pop up, because I don't actually know where any other enemy tanks are. And well, I'm basically done aiming, and no one's spotted it. So I kind of decided to take a bit of a guess at where it is, and I reckon it'll be right there, hiding behind the trees. Spot a Hellcat, but now I've got to wait for my gun to reload. and my team's going to kill it well before I can get a shot off. Okay, there's one again. It wasn't on the north side of the rock, so I'm thinking maybe it's hiding on the south side of the rock and aiming around the corner. But maybe just right there. No, I decided not to take the shot, which is lucky because the next one was nowhere near there, and it's actually taken some damage, so I think my earlier shot might have just missed it. But anyway, I get my first kill, and that's actually going to be my last kill because there's only one enemy tank left. It's this Lorraine. Is that Lorraine? I can't actually. It's a Lorraine artillery piece, and well, it's disappeared, and basically I'm not going to get an opportunity to shoot at it here. There we go. Gets ammo racked, but I don't think that actually mattered. So we won. It's a first class mastery, which is pretty impressive, and you see I managed to get my heavy fire on heavy tanks mission completed. Did 1700 damage, which was top damage on my team, which is pretty unusual since I was a tier 6 tank in a tier 8 game. So I was pretty happy with that result. This next one, it starts off a bit slow, but you really got to hang around to watch the end of this video. I was initially heading off to the southwestern corner of this map, but then I saw the M44 was heading that way, and I decided to head over to this other position, which it's a bit of an odd one because on the map it doesn't look like it would actually have a good line of fire to anywhere, because I'm just going to park below this ridge line of rocks you see in front of me. But for some reason I actually do really well in this spot. It's got enough of a fire arc to basically anywhere that I can do pretty well here sometimes. Can't hit that Leopard 2, but I will be able to hit enemy tanks as they come around this corner. But the AMX ELC is kind of stopping them from doing so, and now it's dead. Don't quite have shots on those two yet, but I could hit the Su-85 if I had been aimed a bit quicker. So I'm going to have a guess at where it might end up and take a shot, but it goes nowhere near where I aimed it, so no hits for me. The T-150's poked around enough that I can hit it, and it's also been tracked. So with a bit of luck I should be able to get a big hit in here. Okay, reloaded. Now take the shot. And it goes a little bit long. Might have actually tracked it there, but it repairs it and then pulls back a little bit. So I've got a tiny shot, but the T-150 is dead. And it looks like the enemy are all pushing around the eastern side of the map. And I can't quite hit them yet, but I can hit this Chinukai here. I'm just aiming, I take the shot, and I do 86 damage, which is my first damage of the game. And here, enemy tanks are just pushing around far enough that I can hit them. It's an IS, and I can hit the IS, but I tried firing at the Jag-Panzer IV there, just because it's, well, I can knock it out of the game pretty easily. I was thinking of firing at the T-29, but I decided the VK here is the better option, since I just think a slightly better chance of hitting it, I thought. Managed to track it, do a fair bit of damage, and then I keep aiming at it. Well, I toss in over the targets. I think I'm going for the T-29. VK's dead. The T-29's just killed my ally that was spotting them all. And I think of taking a blind shot, but I choose not to because it's been a while since I've spotted any enemy tanks around here. So I'm kind of waiting for them to pop back up. I've got a couple of tank destroyers up here who will spot them sooner or later. And there's the Jag-Panzer IV, and there's the IS. And again, I was going to go for the Jag-Panzer IV because I wanted to knock it out of the game pretty quickly. But I decided to go for the T-29 here because it seems like an easier one to hit. But I just missed, do 47 spotting damage, and it's back up and moving again. Can't hit the Jag-Panzer IV, and just got to aim and reload, and hopefully I can hit the T-29 is all. Now if it's moving again. Okay, stay there. 426 damage, that was a pretty good shot, at least in my book. Okay, but it's advancing again. It's just... well, I've only got one tank destroyer up the top now. And it's actually a NAS spawn. It's just going to kill that Jagdpanzer 4. But it's taking flanking fire from the T-43 up on the ridge. So it's actually about to die itself. At which point, I will actually be the nearest friendly tank to this T-29. There's a NAS spawn dead. I decided a bit too late to see if I can hit the T-43. And, well, I could have, but it's moving around a lot, so I decided not to take the shot. And then I switch over to the Su-100 because I want these guys to be able to push right up into the enemy cap very quickly. There's Su-100. I take a shot because I want to kill it quickly before it can kill the Dicker Max. Get a hit in him. I was a bit surprised by that, but I do a fair bit of damage before my team comes in and kills it. And that T-29 has just been spotted again. So what I do here is I obviously can't get a shot in because the ridgeline's in the way. So I pull right up under this ridgeline so that it basically won't be able to shoot at me until it's right down in the valley. And I kind of pull up beside these rocks and behind this tree here, just so hopefully it won't be able to spot me. It's just killed the S-35, so now it's obviously going to push down into the valley here. So I start aiming at this ridgeline, which basically I'm hoping for an ambush shot on the T-29 as it comes down. But then we spot the enemy artillery, and I decide that I'm actually probably most useful right now trying to knock this guy out of the game, since my allies have pushed up into the centre without being able to flank the T-29 anyway. T-29's right in front of me, so when I fire, it will see me. But I choose to take the shot, and hopefully the GW Panther is still there. And then I immediately push in behind the rocks. And as you see, the M44 on my team's objecting to how I played that, but... well, this is the bit where the replay gets really interesting. T-29's coming at me, but for now I've got the rocks in my way, or in between us. It takes a shot, and it misses. And I try and shoot between the rocks, and I also miss. And now we circle around the rocks for a bit. Fortunately for me, the T-29 doesn't quite have enough manoeuvrability to actually catch me in this kind of fight. Oh, allies are shooting it, managed to bounce a shot off its back. And I get lucky there that it misses me, and I've reloaded. And now it's dead. Oh, poor T-29. But at least the driver was a good sport about it, so there you go. Of course the M44 driver was not a good sport about it, but some people are just jerks. Anyway, the only tank left on the enemy team is the GW Panther, which, well, I was relocating in case it does send a shell my way, but I figure I've done that enough. So I'll just go aim up around here, which, well, it's where it was last spotted, where I took a shot at it earlier, but it's obviously I missed. I'm just going to wait for my team to go and spot it. I was actually contemplating not taking a shot here because, well, the Sherman Jumbo on our team's on 5 kills, but it said that it didn't want the kill and was going to go cap, so I decide, well, I'll take a shot. It goes well wide and blows up half a house, but whatever. And then our allied tank destroyer gets around behind the GW Panther, shoots it in the back, and that's the game. So it's actually a pretty close one in the end, but really that Sherman Jumbo pulled us through. Again, first class mastery, managed to hit 5 tanks, which I'm pretty happy about. See, I did the most damage on my team again, 3rd most experience, and yeah, that game was really made by the player against a T-29, and that T-29 was in a very powerful position and could have easily won the game. But anyway, that's the Su-8. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all next time.